So we're ready to talk about all the basics in Twinmotion. And really what we're trying to uncover here is what are all these menus and what are the tools within them. Now, before I get started on that, if you watched my previous video, you'll notice at the very end, everything got frozen and I wasn't able to move around anymore. What happened is I accidentally pushed R on my keyboard. And if you do the same thing, it's this button right here. It means ray trace, R for ray trace. And I'm just going to do it really quick one more time. What it's going to do is put everything into a mode where it tries to calculate the light as realistically as possible. It takes a lot of physics. It requires a lot from the computer, and it will just freeze the computer for a minute. And then when you push R again, you'll turn it back off. So I want everybody to know about that. Number one, I want you to know so you can turn it off whenever you accidentally push R. And number two, I want you to know, do not accidentally push R. If you can avoid it, that's the best thing that you can do. Okay, but now moving on. You can see that we've got menus, both sides, top and bottom. And the menus can easily be turned on and off. This is the nicest thing because these little buttons never go away. So whenever you are missing a menu, just go push the buttons, bring it back. And anytime you want to add an additional menu, you can go ahead and just click here. And now I've got my statistics showing up with my properties. And you can see they're up on top of each other. So it's kind of hard to see everything within that menu. If you want, you can put them side by side. Or you can close one of them down so that you're just looking at maybe the opposite of what was there originally. They're really nice and easy to control. Okay, and while we're over here, library just means what are all the things that are, objects and geometry that we can place into our model. And we might as well try that really quick because it's kind of fun. Let's go to objects. Let's go to home. And how about something from the office? We can find a desk. And when you try to place something, it's not actually loaded yet into your project. So there's a little download arrow. And if you'll click on that, then it's going to download that very model, and then you should be able to place it. Okay, let's go ahead and put this right into our scene here. And it's always surprising just how big that little orb in the middle was. It seemed like a little bowling ball, but evidently the thing is massive. Okay, now if you're not able to place something, it could be that you don't have the licensing for it, or that you need to come up here and sign in before it will let you. And you can go to my account, say I'm already signed in. Okay, and if you happen to use the search, the main thing to know there is that once you get inside the library, deep inside the library, like I am right now, I'm in desks. So if I search for a chair while I'm in the desk category, nothing's going to come up. So when that happens, you want to make sure to go up a few levels or just maybe go back to the main library. Now search for a chair, and you can see I've got lots of hits and lots of options. Okay, the other thing that's in here is materials. We'll save that for another day. Oh, vegetation. I mean, these ones are great. I should have probably started with that. These are always fun to place. You can put in a tree. And I guess we'll wait for it to create. And there it is. Awesome. Okay, if we look at the next one and we go to stats, I don't spend a lot of time looking at this one, but there is something really important here. It's not so much what are these numbers doing, which are telling you how much of the computer is it using right now. That could be important when you're on a home computer, but when you're in the computer labs, the VDIs don't really calculate properly, so sometimes these numbers aren't going to tell you what you need. However, there is this quality setup. So the one way we'll know if our computer is being overused is if things just go too slow. And if that's the case, you can go to quality setup, and we can change all of the settings from high to medium, low, or whatever we need. And that can just be quickly done over here. Or you can change individual items. So for right now, we're fine to keep this on high. Okay, and then moving over here to the right, we have what's called our scene graph. I think initially properties was turned on, and properties is specific to whatever is selected. So when I click on my tree, if I can go back to that, I can change the age of it, which is going to make it bigger or smaller. I can change the season here, which sometimes that really will have an effect. It doesn't seem to be doing anything, but sometimes changing the season will make the leaves go away, or the leaves will turn to autumn. It's pretty cool. So anyways, there's my properties. The scene is the one that I probably use the most often. Okay, I'm going to turn this one off. And sometimes when you want more space, you can turn that one off. But this one I use a lot because everything that gets placed into the scene is going to show up here in a list. And you can see that there are even folders, so you can organize things by folders. The starting base was just here to begin with. That's that little pedestal with the massive bowling ball. And everything has an eyeball next to it, so if you want to turn something on or off, you can do that. If you know that you have an object somewhere in the model and you just don't know where it's at, then you can go to the search bar and you can find it. I can search for my tree, and let's see what comes up. Nothing, probably because you got to know the name of it. And of course, these can be renamed, but the search bar, if you bring in something from Revit, is quite effective because I can search for doors, windows, roof, walls, anything, and it normally would work. Okay, so there's our scene bar. View sets I don't really use. I don't even know what that one does. And then over here we've got X, Y, and Z, which for any given object, if I select it, I can move things up and down. Didn't mean to select that one, but I'm trying to select my tree here, and I'm just getting no cooperation. So if you run into something like, of course, now it lets me select, but I was going to say, if you run into something like that, then just come over here and you can make the selection there. And then now that I'm looking at it in XYZ, you can see that I do have a gizmo that would let me move this thing around, but if I want to be very precise, then I simply come over here to XYZ and I can plug in a number. Okay, and the positioning would have, just like you see here, an X coordinate, which I don't know if that's the, X would probably be the green. It's got a green that corresponds, it's got a red that corresponds, and then of course, if I want to move it up or down, then I go over here to the blue. Everything happens to be in meters right now, but you can change that. You can go to Edit, and then Preferences, and then Unit System, and we're going to change that to feet or inches, whatever you want. Okay, and now I can move this up by exactly 1 foot if that's what I want. And I think there we go. It wasn't working for a second. Okay, so that's handy for repositioning. And I guess one other thing that I want to point out is the ambience. So the ambience is, what's happening here in my scene. As far as what the sun is doing and what the season is. And if I go to ambience and then turn on my properties, I think it'd be best if I turn off XYZ as I do this, but turn on my properties. Okay, then I can adjust all those things. So once again, click on just the ambience, then go to properties, and then just kind of have some fun with this. Move the sun around, change where north is supposed to be. You can eventually find the season somewhere in here. Where is that season here? It's better if I, of course, turn off my scene graph. There's the season category. We can make it a little bit of precipitation. We can change it to winter. So I won't go through everything. Have some fun with this one because it's pretty cool. And you can add in effects over here at the right. Go through these effects and just see if there's any kind of style that would be fun. I guess I got to enable it first. And enable. So we're getting this to look like it's a painting of some sort. Okay, again, that just takes a lot of experimentation, so I won't do that. And strangely, it looks as though my navigation bar has appeared. I couldn't get that to show up in my last video, but now it's here. And it's pretty handy because it just shows you everything that you need to move around and navigate, but I want to turn it off right now. So we're going to hide the navigation. Okay, moving around here to the top. Up here, you can see that when you select an object, you have the ability to either move it, rotate it, scale it, or move and rotate according to the world coordinates or the local coordinate, the object coordinates. I don't really use this, so I can't tell you what that's going to do. But these other ones are more obvious. Do I want to move it instead of using the X, Y, and Z over here? Do I want to just use the gizmo? And if I do use the gizmo, you'll notice that when you hover over any one of these axes, you have the ability to plug in a number. So right here, I can just put in 2, and then it moved it up 2 feet. Now, I had to do that before I actually clicked on the gizmo. So I hovered over the gizmo. I did not click on the gizmo. That's what makes that number show up. And if we go rotate, then same thing. You can use the gizmo to do whatever you need. It's kind of fun. You'll also notice that if you expand this menu, you can change from gravity, which is what we're currently using, to collision. And quite honestly, I just don't know what those do. So I'm not going to experiment with them. I'm going to leave them right here on gravity, and you should probably do that too unless you figure out what exactly those mean. Okay, and then the last thing that we'll do is we'll look at materials for an object in our scene. Let's take this and use what we know how to do now, move something out of the way. And then I'm going to come up here to this eyedropper tool. And what the eyedropper does is it allows you to select the material for an object. So you don't select the object itself, you just select the material. So here we've got Nightmare Marble showing up, and you can see that there's sliders for adjustments that you want to make. I'm making it brighter, I'm making it darker, lots of other properties here that can change the appearance of that material. But over here in the properties, I'm only seeing one material, and down here at the bottom, there's another materials palette, and if I open that one, I can see all the materials that exist inside my project, which of course, right now there aren't very many. But then over here in my library, we can go and see that we've got lots of materials that could then be added to the project. So let's see what we've got for stone, for example. I already have this one downloaded, so I'm going to drag that inside here. Now it's inside my materials library, and I can apply it to anything. If I take that material and just drag it up into the scene, you can see it'll put it onto really anything that I want to apply it to. We can apply it to our desk, we can apply it to our big bowling ball, and then it shows up in properties so I can make additional adjustments there. Something that happened up at the top is that I got kind of a newer menu. So there are additional tools available to me now that pertain to just materials. For example, painting. And I can paint with whatever I have down here in my library. You know, we can go back and find something else that's interesting, but it takes time to download, so I won't worry about doing that yet. And then these other tools, they're more advanced and complicated, so they're probably for another day. Same with a lot of the other menus that we have down here. Even though these are great, they're just more advanced and we don't need to use them yet. So I think as far as covering basics, we've done it. Now go ahead and explore and just have some fun.